The man lit a match and brought it close to examine the keyhole carefully. Suddenly, a guard passed by, and Tim quickly put out the match and quietly returned to his bunk. For several nights, Tim kept staring at the door lock, lost in thought, trying to figure out a way to escape the prison. Finally, Tim came up with an idea that others wouldn't dare think of or attempt. He first took out a blank sheet of paper and tore it in half. He pressed one half against the keyhole to outline its shape, then used a pencil to sketch the exact contours. Next, he rolled up the other half of the paper and inserted it into the keyhole. Then, he pushed a pencil inside, pressing and rubbing it against the bottom repeatedly. When he pulled out the rolled paper, the two creases marked the depth of the keyhole. This would determine the required length of the key. The next step was figuring out the key's shape. During the day, he took every opportunity to get close to the guards, carefully observing the shape of their keys. He then sketched the key's teeth on paper. After a week of constant observation, tracing, and repeated adjustments, Tim finally had a blueprint that satisfied him. But a blueprint alone wasn't enough. How could he actually make the key? One day, while working in the carpentry shop, Tim stared at a wooden block and suddenly had an idea. Just as he picked it up, the bell rang. Tim hurriedly began shaping the block in his hands, but the guard soon ordered them to line up. In a panic, he grabbed a few more wooden blocks and quickly wrapped them in paper. Then, he opened his thermos flask, but the guard was approaching, and time was running out. Seeing this, his cellmate deliberately knocked over a bucket of screws, distracting the guard. Under his companion's cover, Tim managed to hide the blocks inside the thermos flask and prepared to take them back. But the next moment, the guard seemed to notice something and ordered everyone's thermoses to be inspected. They lined up one by one, tapping their flasks twice against the sink before pouring out the water inside. Soon, it was Tim's turn to be checked. His nerves were at their peak. He knew that if he was caught now, everything would be over. The guard took his thermos, tapped it twice, then poured out the hot water and shook it vigorously. Luckily, the guard didn't notice anything unusual. Tim had stuffed a towel inside beforehand, saving himself from disaster. Now, he could start crafting the key. Tim used a file to shape the wooden block into the key's outline, then glued the pieces together. He placed it under a lampshade to bake, speeding up the glue's drying process. Finally, he repeatedly filed the teeth against his blueprint until, at last, a makeshift key was ready. Soon, Tim tested it on the door. With a gentle turn, the lock clicked open effortlessly. Tim opened the cell door. Freedom was now one step closer, but he quickly suppressed his excitement, knowing that the prison had multiple gates, and he'd need more keys to escape safely. Over the next few days, Tim repeated the process. He crafted key after key, testing them during group work sessions. One time, as he inserted a wooden key and turned it, disaster struck. The fragile key snapped inside the lock. Tim was terrified, and to make things worse, the guard was about to inspect the cells. Frantically, he tried to dig out the broken piece with his fingers. His cellmate tossed him a screwdriver, but it was no use.